Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast to help you and your family cruise a little smarter. And we are going to turn our focus on another little mini episode. Coming back to the show today, he and his family just got off the Disney Wonder, the first sailing of the Disney Wonder out of San Diego. And he brought up a topic which we have never really talked about thoroughly before, but I'd like to welcome back to the show all the way from Utah. How are you doing today, Brian?
Doing well. How about yourself, Steve?
Not too bad. We are going to do a mini episode and I'll let you introduce the topic.
Yeah, I realized after my last episode, I didn't talk about the photography on board and how that has changed since the pandemic and the restart. My wife is a big fan of getting good pictures from our vacations. And so on our cruises, we've taken advantage of the Disney photography options, and they are still there, but they are a little bit different now. So I thought it would be worth talking about that a little bit.
So I know in the past we've talked to people, or at least a couple different cruisers who have booked the Shutter's Portrait Studio. That's their premium photo experiences. And that's not what we're going to be talking about today. It's a little bit different, right?
Right. So we're talking about just the availability of the photographers they have online. I'm not online, but around the ship. That you can have them take your picture, and you can choose to buy individual photos, or they have, packages, or you can get an unlimited digital package, which is what we've done, where you can get access to all the photos they take of you throughout the ship before dinner and to different places.
So there is up on deck 4, I believe. I think it's deck 4 where they have the photography kind of area where you can go through and look and see all the pictures that you've had taken while you've been on the ship.
That's correct. Yep. They've got the kiosks. As of right now, they don't have all of them open. They have a social distancing in place, but you can go there and scan your key to the world card and come up and see the pictures they've taken. And you can decide, hey, I want to buy, this picture, that picture. Or if you've got the unlimited package, you can use it to make sure you're not missing anything. That is definitely still available.
So just like in the past, you don't necessarily have to buy a package. There are photographers around the ship where you can, if you decide you want to have your picture taken by them as they kind of go around to the ship and stuff like that, they'll just take your room number now. I'm assuming since they don't touch your key to the world card, they'll just take your room number, put it in there, and you can go down there and buy those pictures individually.
That is correct.
But you guys didn't do that. You guys bought the full digital package. So let's talk about that. Is this something that you book ahead of time, or when did you book it?
You can pay for it on the ship, but if you book it ahead of time, there is like a 10% discount. And that was one of the things we were trying to figure out for our cruise is in the past, you would log in and you'd click a link and it would take you, it was a third-party company that Disney contracted with to do the photo packages, but that's changed and now it's done all in-house by Disney. And on our sailing, we saw the link for it and clicked on it. It would take you to your reservations where you log in, but then it wouldn't do anything else. So we were trying to figure out what was, how do you book it? What's going on? And we had a few people in our cruise Facebook group who called, but what ended up being, we discovered, is they just wouldn't let you book it until about 2 weeks. It was like 2 weeks or a week and a half before the cruise. And then it showed up under the onboard fun, like any other onboard bookings, and you could select the photo package and you got a slight discount by doing that in advance. The interesting thing is if you think you might want it, you can book it in advance, get the discount. And then my understanding, I haven't done this, but my understanding is if you get on the cruise and change your mind, as long as you change your mind before the last day, you can go and have them take it off. And if you haven't, downloaded any of the pictures or anything, you can get your money back. So if you think you might want it, you can book it and get the discount and then take it off once you're on board if you decide you don't have pictures you care about.
Yeah, something that maybe you're just too busy, get any pictures taken while you're on board your cruise. And just a good insight there as well, as far as like what we've been talking about already about port excursions in some previous episodes, is that if it's something that you think you want to do, go ahead and book it ahead of time, because this isn't something that would get booked up, but with that discount, that's really nice. And looking at their website right here, it says save 15% off of the onboard price when you pre-book it. So that's a pretty significant savings.
It is. And the price will vary based on the sailing and how long it is. And it's not cheap, but it's also, I think it was we felt that it was worth it, especially right now where cast members won't take your phone and take your picture for you with, the COVID concerns. And so if you want to get pictures of your whole family, this is the easiest way to do that. I've seen people ask, is it worth it or not? And I think some of it depends on, for us, I know it's important to my wife to have a nice catalog of family photos from the cruise, so we prioritize it. And then I feel like we get our money's worth. They had people out before dinner every night. They've got formal place. You can go get your pictures with different backgrounds, and they're themed. Halloween night, they had Halloween backgrounds. Pirate night, they had pirate backgrounds. The other nights, they had other backgrounds. And you could just stand in line, and they had a table where you could actually put your stuff and take off your masks, actually. So you could get your picture taken without your mask on, because they were distancing you from the photographer. And then you'd pick your stuff back up. They'd sanitize the table in between, and then you could go to the next station if you wanted to get your picture taken at every station. So that's something we would prioritize every night, either right before dinner or right after, going through those formal backgrounds they had set up and getting our picture taken there. Then they also had photographers coming through at dinner that would take pictures of your family or individuals or small groups of your family at the dinner table. And so we'd always get a full family shot and then shots of individual kids at dinner, which was kind of fun. And then they also had photographers wandering around the ship. We ran into them the night of fireworks. They were outside, and we were waiting to get for the fireworks to show. They took some pictures at night of us and our kids. We heard that they were there during the day as people were playing on the pool deck. We didn't ever see them then, but it wouldn't have surprised me. The one thing they don't have is, in the past, they had them at the character meet and greets, and they don't right now. You have to take your own pictures or your selfie at the character meet and greets. And I think that's just because the characters are distanced, and then they have you there. And then if they had a photographer that was also distanced, it would just be a little bit too far away to make those shots work. So character photos are the one place they're not available right now.
That's kind of interesting. Yeah, we definitely saw them when we were just on the Wonder all over the place. Just as you were saying, Brian, all around the ship and some different iconic locations as far as, outside of the ship with the funnel in the background and all that type of stuff. And to your point as well, we were in the Cadillac Lounge and we asked our server, and it's just, sometimes you just don't think, and I should have known better. It's like, hey, could you take a picture of us? She's like, oh, no, I can't touch your phone. But another guest ended up doing it for us. And so that's a really good point, especially right now, as far as them not being able to take your picture, especially at dinner. I guess I would say, have you seen, so I was looking back as you're talking, we had Claire from the UK on, and her family had some really interesting, fun pictures where they kind of like they're doing in the parks. And I saw, I'm kind of all over here now, but I did see some pictures or some photographers up on the pool deck. They're kind of in that area by the funnel vision. There's kind of like a small little covered cabana kind of like little area, and they were taking pictures in there of families, and they were kind of posing in different positions. And I think that's where they added those like fun character moments. Did you guys do that?
We did not do the one up on deck. We missed out. We would have done it if we had noticed it, but we did get some pictures in front of the Halloween tree in the lobby where they did kind of the magic shots like they do in the parks. And we had a pumpkin superimposed in. And so they're definitely doing that. And it's definitely fun. Again, I think, a lot of this is there's plenty of opportunities right now to get the picture taken if you want to. And so if that's a priority to you, you can definitely get your money's worth out of the pictures. We've always felt like the quality of the photographer is quite good. And we were very happy with what we got again on this last cruise.
So I guess I missed him in front of the pumpkin tree, but I did see him. So if you're on the Wonder, probably the Magic as well, the Dream, kind of look for him up on the pool decks. They were there just kind of during the day, especially on our sea day. We're hanging out, and it really wasn't too busy as far as the lines for people waiting. Matter of fact, I saw him several times just standing there by himself, waiting to take pictures to get those kind of fun Magic pictures. If you want to go back, it's episode number 225. I'll try and find some pictures from our Facebook post and put it up as well, because they're kind of neat little pictures where they have Captain Minnie and Captain Minnie with you. Like you said, those Magic shots. They do also offer, if you're sailing to the Caribbean and you're going to Castaway Cay, they have photographers around Castaway Cay. Have you used them out there as well?
On our first cruise, we did. We got some pictures on Castaway Cay as well. Yep, which was nice. One thing probably worth throwing out there, we sailed between two cabins because we had adjoining cabins with my family. So we did have to give them both cabin numbers whenever we had our pictures taken, but you can do that. My understanding is if you're in a larger family group, there are some rules that are around, like whoever buys the photo package, as long as people from that cabin are in the picture, it gets included on that account, but you can't like share it across cabins where it's not the same immediate family.
That makes sense. Well, so I think you've already said this, but what has been your overall opinion of the photos that you've gotten from the photographers on board?
We've really liked them. Quality's been good. I think right now, especially where they're not willing to take your phone, it's been great to be able to get the pictures that way. I think if you're somebody who's a fan of using the PhotoPass photographers in the parks, that you will find it very similar on the cruise ship. And so I think people ask, is it worth it? It really comes down to, if you're going to prioritize getting pictures taken and you like to have those professional looking pictures to remember your vacation by, it can absolutely be worth it. If you're somebody who's content to take the pictures yourself, and right now you can deal with the fact that cast members won't handle your camera, then, maybe you'll pass, but we've definitely enjoyed it. The key thing you do have to remember is to pick up your pictures at the end. They do put them on a USB thumb drive, and you pick them up the morning you disembark. And that's an important call out on how you get them.
Is there any way for them to mail them to you afterwards? Do you know?
So on our first cruise, I forgot to pick them up. Actually, I was really terrified that we were in trouble. But when I emailed them, they made them available for me in a digital format. I was able to download them. It just took a couple of days and we had to work it through with them. But they do have a backup plan, so you can contact them and they will work it out for you to get them. But I think that's only if you've already bought them and already paid for it that they can do that.
Right. So if you haven't actually paid for the pictures, then you can't necessarily go back if you decide you want to see what your pictures were and buy them then.
I think
Did I say that right?
I think once you've left the ship, if you haven't paid for them, you're kind of out of luck. But if you paid for them and just forgot to pick up the USB drive, then they do have some options for you. And again, it costs nothing to have them take the pictures, and you can go look at them. And you might get on there and say there's only a couple you like, and they do have different options there. But it pretty quickly becomes where it makes more sense to get the unlimited digital package if you want more than a couple.
Oh, yeah. From pricing, we usually get at least one or two, especially when we sail with our kids. We didn't get any this time, unfortunately. We were too busy, I guess, just kind of messing around. But where do people pick that up again? The USB drive, if you want to remind everybody?
Yeah, it's at the Shutters photo preview area where they have all the kiosks. There's a little desk right there, and they have them available the morning of disembarkation.
They do have some other kind of fun things too. You can actually get a photo book. Have you had them put that together, or does your wife just kind of do that herself?
We do that ourselves, but yes, they do have some other materials that they'll sell a photo book, and I don't know what else.
Like we usually get a picture of ourselves, like one of those like formal pictures. And then generally we get, you can buy usually a photo of the ship you're on, and they'll put it kind of in a little folder so that the one side's the picture of you and your family, and the other side's the picture of the ship. So that's something that we've done in the past. So I guess, is there anything else about the professional photographs or the kind of the photography experience, Brian, that you want to kind of let people know about?
I think we've covered everything. I can't think of anything else.
Well, your cruise, we covered quite a bit of stuff from your first cruise back on the Wonder. Was there anything else that we forgot to cover besides the photograph portion of it?
I think we hit everything pretty well.
Well, any other tips for people who may be using the photography package, Brian, before we get out of here then?
I think the main thing is make sure, if you're going to do it, make sure you look for those opportunities. The photos before dinner can get a little bit long sometimes, the lines. And what we found is sometimes you just kind of had to figure out the flow for your cruise. Sometimes going down a little bit early, there wouldn't be a line, or going right after dinner. They usually try and have them open right around both the dinner seating times. But if you, depending on what you have on your schedule, sometimes you can do it not the seating that you're doing. So if you want to do it right before like the late seating, if you're not going to go to the show or something, sometimes you can find the lines will be shorter. But we never saw the lines be super, super long.
Okay, well, all good tips there. Well, thank you so much, Brian, for coming back and kind of helping me out with this mini episode. I thought this was a great topic that we forgot to touch on when we talked about your cruise, but something that, as you've said in this, since they can't use since the cast members can't touch your cameras or anything like that, or your phones right now. Plus, from everything that we've seen, they've always taken just some amazing photos, and we never do as good a job of it. I think that they get our kids to smile a lot better than my wife and I can do. So if you're interested in doing this, go ahead and take a look at it. As Brian said, maybe 2 weeks prior, look for it in the more fun to add as you're getting ready to pre-book your cruise. But also you can add it once you're on board as well, if you decide you want to do it that way. But remember, you can save up to 15% if you do it ahead of time before you get on board the ship. Well, between now and our next show, Brian, or between now, I think that you guys decided to book another cruise. What's next for you?
Yeah, so we had a discount coming from our Wonder Cruise since it got shortened. So we went from a 7 to a 4 day. So we decided to make up those 3 days, and we're going to go do a 3 day on the Dream. over connected to my kids' spring break. So we've got a 3-day cruise on the Dream out of Port Canaveral coming up in April.
And that'll be your family's first time on one of the bigger ships.
It will be. We've realized we like patterns in my family, and we have been on the Magic and the Wonder and the Dream. So we're kind of doing them in the order the ships were built, and we've got something for the fantasy book next year. So yeah, we're gonna work right through our first 4 cruises and get a Grand Slam.
Love it. And then you're going to be headed on to the Wish sometime after that, hopefully.
Yeah, yep. I don't know what you call it now when you hit all 5 ships. I don't know what the term for that is, but
I don't know if anybody's come up with it yet. Maybe they're just going to keep going with Grand Slam. I'm not sure, but I haven't really seen any mention of that yet.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to do a classic Grand Slam is what we'll call it.
There we go. I love it. So, all right, as we get out of here, once again, Brian, thanks to you for coming on and helping us with this topic. All the best to you and your family. And we look forward to, if not talking to you beforehand, talking to you when you get back off that sailing on the Dream after spring break next year.
Sounds great.
The DCL podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.